Here we are.
And we are here.
The microphone, though, in my whole face on your phone.
There we go. All right, there we go. How's that?
I think you're just gonna. I think, well, it's just gonna be what it's gonna be.
Yeah, now our heads are cut off.
Yeah, no, that's what.
All right.
We're coming to you live from the closet, by the
We're
way.
in the closet again, broadcasting live from our closet in Austin, Texas.
Some people work their whole lives to come out of the closet.
Girl, you know we in the closet.
We
still.
in the closet. We're not coming out of the
We in
closet.
the closet.
So
there's all kinds of construction happening outside of our place. They're revamping the whole pool. They're dredging it out and scraping all of the concrete off the pool. And there are also people outside cutting trees down off of the property. You should see how many trees they cut down.
I know.
It's ridiculous. They cut a bunch of trees down, which is kind of discouraging. But yeah, we're still here, and
we love you very much.
5 days of self-care, so we're giving self-care live from the closet. And it's a pretty sizable closet, which we're so grateful.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. I mean, we could fit like 3 more people in here for this interview, really.
Grateful for closet space. Grateful for closet space.
So today is really, it's kind of the wrap up for the week. You know, there's not a set intention other than if anyone followed through on the exercises. You know, do you have any questions? Is there anything you're considering after doing some of the exercises, or maybe you watched some of the videos this week? This has been a week for you to consider, just to consider what you're doing for yourself, what you're not doing for yourself, and to expose you to some people that are like on some serious self-care.
Serious self-care.
Yeah.
And you know, we are advocates of very serious self-care and serious.
Keep going.
Keep going. I was talking back and forth to the different.
I know, but it was so much staring down.
So yeah, we are into serious self-care. I am a person who is a firm believer that your self-care should be serious, but also fun at the same time. And I think
seriously fun.
Seriously. And I think that a big part of self-care should be fun. You should be enjoying yourself. Your self-care shouldn't be something that, oh, I gotta eat these Brussels sprouts.
I gotta go work out.
I gotta hit the treadmill, the dreadmill. You ain't gotta do all of that stuff. You should be enjoying yourself. You should be enjoying your body. So that's why we put this 5 days of serious self-care together to show you some extremes of people who have been through some serious rigors and and have come out awesome on the other side, and they've done a whole lot of serious self-care. And if you haven't been exposed to so many traumatic events and so many wild things in your life, self-care shouldn't be that big of a labor to get into. We usually get ourselves into really terrible habits, terrible places of repetition, and this stops us from caring about ourselves in ways that are seriously functional. Somebody's asking something. Just tuning in. Hey, Kim.
Hey, Kim. I've been chewing on turmeric. Nice.
Yes, turmeric is awesome. You know, for me, you know, we have turmeric every day. Make sure with your turmeric though, black pepper, because turmeric doesn't get absorbed as well unless there's black pepper there. So it's the components of black pepper help your body to absorb the turmeric. So make sure that you have black pepper with it. Otherwise, the active components of turmeric don't do the inflammatory work they need to. So chewing turmeric is awesome. However,
add in some black pepper.
Add some black pepper. Even if you're putting black pepper with something else and eating it at the same time, make sure that you have some black pepper in there. We highly recommend creating golden paste. And if you don't know what golden paste is, I can put a recipe down for you in the comments. It's made of turmeric powder, black pepper, coconut oil, or whatever cold pressed oil you can get, and cold pressed and unrefined, and water, right? Stir it up, boil it up, make it into a paste, and then you can break it up and put it in the freezer or the refrigerator, put it in a glass container, and then you pop it in your smoothie every day, or you pop it on your plate and you eat it, or you stir it into your food and use it as a seasoning. But turmeric is one of the, if not, it is the most effective method of promoting anti-inflammatory situations in your body in the world. Better than any medication, better than any other food, turmeric is the best. So good on you, sister, for taking care of yourself and chewing on that turmeric. That's good news. Just make sure that you use black pepper with it, because a lot of people don't know about that. You've got to have that black pepper so that it gets absorbed properly and gets activated right. Yeah.
Yeah, so why don't you start by explaining a little bit about body intelligence and body integration?
Okay. So biointegration is something that we do, a phrase that we've coined actually, and a lot of people are catching on to now, which is awesome. We're not really looking to hold on to something and be like, that's our method. There's a lot of hacking going on as of late. It's something that you may be hearing about, biohacking and shortcuts to health and shortcuts to doing this and bypassing weight loss and bypassing this and bypassing that. And that's cool. You're starting to take some action in your life. And what we've been doing as of late is working with entrepreneurs, working with people who are in the realm of technology, who are into hacking in because it's fast. And that's a tech term, right? We're hacking into something. When you think about the word hack, you're actually cutting into the process of your body. So everything that your body works on, and one of the things that we always teach people is that one of the key elements you have to pay attention to is time. Your body works is a process-oriented machine. And when you bypass its natural tendency to do things, it cuts through the natural cycle, and it can cause things that are disruptive. It can cause your muscles to grow in disruptive ways. It can cause your organs to shift in disruptive ways. It can cause your electrolytes to shift in disruptive ways. So we show people who are hacking and that type of stuff how to actually integrate the body into your lifestyle. And you can do things in a way that may be faster than just waiting forever. But you're also getting your emotional situation, you're getting your integration with your family situated, you're getting integrated with your job, you're getting all these things integrated together. And it's really important for us to observe an integrative perspective of integration and connection with all of the things that are going on with you. So as nice as doing things fast sounds, there are I would dare say better ways to do things than just hacking in, bypassing your body's natural processes and putting something else in place. And when you think about surgery, right? They're hacking into your body, sewing stuff up, pulling stuff out, that's hacking. So we are encouraging people to integrate their bodies into their lives, integrate their bodies into their relationships, integrate their bodies into everything you're doing. So if you're listen, you just got a job, you're working in an office, you're sitting down on your butt all day, you've got to learn to integrate your body. So you want to get yourself to exercise so the muscles of your glutes and your lower back and all of this stuff is strong, so that when you're sitting down all day, your muscles don't get shorter in the front of your body. It can cause you back pain. It can cause you pain in your hips. It can cause you all of this stuff. So we show people how to integrate their body into their job experience, right? If you're a mother and you just had kids, and you want to be able to integrate your life with your kids, and your kid's now a toddler and is running around, and you can't keep up with your kid because you have excess body fat from the pregnancy, or you didn't exercise at all and all your musculature got weak, so you're having a hard time lifting your kid.
Or you had a hard pregnancy.
Or you had a difficult pregnancy, and you need to strengthen the muscle of the pelvic floor. These are things that we work with people on to actually help them integrate their body. And there's a time, there's a process that your body needs to follow in order to habitually fall into that process. When we hack into our bodies aren't allowed to be habitual in something and then stay in the process. If the body is just as surprised as everything, oh, well, look at where I am now. What do I do? You've got to get your body to work with things gradually. So that's what we're working on, and we're working on we're actually working on something called the bio integration technique, which is a system that we've devised that people can use every morning and every evening. It takes about 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the nighttime. It's a series of stretches, myofascial movements and releases where you actually palpate and touch yourself, check-in spots, body scans. It takes 15 minutes to do movements to check in with your body to see if your body is in pain, right? Because a lot of times we're in pain, we don't even realize that we've been in pain all our lives. You know, you go to the doctor's office and the doctor starts pushing on stuff and it's like, ow, where did that come from? You didn't even know. So we don't touch ourselves. So we teach people how to touch the body, how to palpate, how to feel through things, and how to get everything to work in tandem with everything else. This includes how you eat, how you breathe, how you drink water, how you move, how you rest and relax, right? How you use perspectives to help tailor your body to everything that you're doing, right? All of these things, how to apply energy and effort to these types of things, how to get yourself integrated emotionally, sexually, right? Your sex is important, right? You have sex organs for a reason. If your sexual situation is not fulfilled, it can cause a huge disruption in your lifestyle, a huge disruption in your body patterns. So if you're in a relationship with somebody and that's your intimate partner and you're not being intimate, it can cause a disruption in what's going on with you. So you being able to speak about that, you being able to talk about that, and either move away from that relationship or move deeper into that relationship is important. So we get into all these things, and this is the type of self-care that we want to show people so that they can replicate this and show other people how to do it for themselves. There's no one system for one person. We all, you know, the system that we're coming up with is something that everybody can do, but it becomes a very individualized thing for people to utilize on their own. So you utilize this, my battery's dying. You utilize this on your own, and you create your own lifestyle, your own habits, your own repetitive stuff. And I'm not talking about a mundane cycle of routine. I'm talking about habit, and there's a difference between habit and routine. And I'm not going to get into all of that because that's just semantics at the moment. But there's a difference between habit and routine. And routine is getting up and doing the same stuff over and over again because you have to. Right? Habit, you do it because you want to, and you want to get your body into a flow state. When you get your body into a flow state, you don't have to think about it so much. So if you want to be able to pick up your shopping bags properly, right? So what we would do is we would teach you how to squat, right? Because you want to squat to pick anything up, and you want to curl your biceps, right? So you want to get your biceps into a place where they function properly. So after a while, after you've done bicep work and tricep work, because triceps work on the way down, your body habitually knows how to lift something up, and you don't have to think about it too much. So when you're in the gym or when you're doing your exercise or whatever, when you're at home doing whatever it is, you focus on that focus movement. You get that movement strong, so your brain doesn't have to think about it. You don't have to bring your mind in to mentally think about this type of stuff. That's just a very small example of things that you can do. Anyway, that's what we've been working on. We're working on this biointegration technique thing, and it's absolutely wonderful. Hopefully in the next couple of months, it'll be ready for release. We're going to have a hard copy version and a digital copy, digital version for people, full instructions and all of that type of stuff for people to dig into.
It's really important to, if you're looking to align your life in a certain direction, that you create daily habits for yourself, and know that it takes a while for you to learn or to accept them as being habitual. At first, it can be a serious challenge to, like, some people want to make a full, 180 shift kind of a situation. Like, they want to just change everything right now. And the problem with that is you have all of these daily habits that are already in the way. You have all of these daily situations that are pre-programmed, both consciously and subconsciously, and you have things that you love, and you love them for emotional reasons. So in order for you to really start to get to where you want to be in your life, you need to take actionable steps every week. Instead of, I'm going to start eating clean on Monday, it's saying, all right, you know what? I'm going to remove refined sugars this week. And the week after that, I'm going to, stop having cereal for breakfast. I'm going to try something else. And taking one actionable step at a time, because instead of looking at this as good diet, bad diet, it's what works for you. And the thing is, there's only one way to really understand that and to get to that point, and that is to do an elimination diet to see what your body is sensitive to. And from that point, then you can start to determine how you feel and what works for you. Because the thing is, it may not be something that's quote unquote unhealthy, but it doesn't function for you. A perfect example, if I have stevia extract I get a little bit of a headache and I get a little bit nauseous. Not to the point where it's debilitating, but I'm not looking to have my experience to be mediocre or for it to be not pleasant. And when you start determining how you want to feel in your body and how you want to feel in your life, you start to make decisions based on that. Like when you decide you want to get married, right? You decide that, and then you find the partner that you want to marry, and then you find the dress. If you need to lose 10 pounds, you do whatever you have to fit that dress, right? Because you've decided that you're going to fit in a certain dress. That still is based around how you want to feel on your wedding day. You want to feel beautiful. You want to feel feminine or whatever. So how can we recreate that feeling without needing to have it be in a fancy dress? What if you could feel like that all
Every day.
the
Yeah,
time?
right.
And it wasn't about the weight on the scale. It was about the feeling of accomplishment, of appreciation for yourself, of giving yourself credit for sticking to it, even though maybe you didn't really feel like you had a choice. You totally had a choice. So really, it's what do you want to feel? And you may not be able to imagine what 150 pounds feels like if you've never been under 200 pounds. So instead of trying to imagine what that looks like, start with something. What would it feel like to lose 20 pounds of fat? And I'm just using weight as an easy example. What would it feel like in your body with less pressure on your knees? If you had more energy, if you weren't so tired, and let's say it's not a weight issue, it's a adrenal issue that you're just completely overdoing it, you're totally exhausted. Start to imagine what it would feel like to wake up in the morning excited and ready to get out of bed. Or when your kids came to wake you up, you are ready to get up and get their breakfast together and get them ready for school instead of this sluggish experience. Because if you feel tired and sluggish in your body, you're going to feel tired and sluggish in your life. That's how it translates, is the visceral experience becomes the outward experience of your life. So in order to shift the visceral experience of exhaustion or tired or not feeling focused, the fastest way to do that is diet changes first, because that is a chemical influence in your body.
Right. And we eat every day.
Yeah, you eat every day, and every day that you eat impacts you a little bit differently, because it's not just the food, it's the environment that you're in, it's the relationships that you're in, it's how much sleep that you've had. And that's why it's critical that you track every single day, if you can, but at least weekly, what steps you're taking. Or let's say you've had a headache every day, you should write that down. You may not realize that you've had a perpetual headache for 2 weeks. It's like, what's going on? Your body's giving you cues, and if you don't listen, they get louder. It may at first start with a slight headache, and then it turns into migraines, or then it starts to turn into severe shoulder pain, and then you start to favor your shoulder, so you lean a little to one side, causing an imbalance in your back, causing a problem in your hip. And it's just going to work through your entire kinetic chain in multiple directions until you get to the core of what's going on.
Right.
That's why people,
you've got to get to the core of that issue.
Well, and that's why some people can have back surgery and it just comes back, because what's the underlying issue? If you don't spend time on the underlying issue, it will redirect itself and come back. Your body is constantly communicating with you and to you. And its greatest purpose is to survive, right? So if you're feeding it toxic foods, the first thing it has to do is detoxify itself and break these foods down. That means it can't restore. That means it can't repair. That means that your reproductive organs or your sexual organs are the first to shut down. Same with your appendages. If your nails are not growing, if they're brittle, if they're cracking, that's a huge signifier of your health. For women, their menstrual cycles, if you even have one, most women now are on birth control, aren't even having a cycle. And if you're bleeding and you're on the pill, it's not bleeding from a cycle, it's bleeding from actually withdrawals from the birth control.
And that's a big thing with a lot of people that come to us to work with. A lot of women are like, I don't see my menstrual cycle anymore. And they're in their 30s, and it's like, I don't see my menstrual cycle anymore. I don't know what's going on. And as soon as we get them to rectify their diet situation, the menstrual cycle comes back in full. And these are people who are not on the pill. These are people who are just
Diet.
stressed. Diet, is just they're not moving, not drinking any water, drinking a lot of soda, eating sugar. These things can block your body. When your body your body has things in order of priority, and the priority number one is breathing, right? If you don't breathe within 6 minutes, your brain is dead, right? 6 to 7 minutes, your brain is gone with no oxygen. So breathing is the priority. After that, if you have toxins in your body is looking to remove those toxins because they're poisonous. And when poisons are in your body, or a threat is inside your body, the MO is to get the threat out. And if you keep putting threats in, your body has to keep removing those threats. So things like your ears, your eyes, these things, they become really less important. You're not your ear inside, but your earlobes, these things, your fingertips, they become really not important. Your sex organs are really not important when it comes down to survival. So your body shuts these things off. And as these things get shut off, they start to get dysfunctional, and they become in things like missed periods and erectile dysfunction and stuff like that can happen. So when you rectify how you eat, when you rectify how you move, how you breathe, how you hydrate, and all of these things, when you stop putting cigarette smoke in your body and burning your lungs, and I'll tell you all about cigarette smoke if you want to know about it. And alcohol is a toxin. I'm going on this bender on the weekend. I'm going on this bender or having 2 glasses of wine a night. Wine has positive heart effects and all of this.
That's 4 ounces a day.
4 ounces. 4 ounces a day. If you're having 2 glasses of wine a night, that's 12 to 14
per glass. Because I don't know very many
glasses a week.
Well, yeah, I know, but I don't know very many people that pour a 4-ounce glass of wine. They're usually pouring like an 8-ounce glass.
I don't know anybody that does. I know people that throw back bottles of wine a night. Yeah. And this stuff alcohol is a toxin. It's something that your body has to flush out. And if your body's working at this, plus alcohol is sugar in and of itself, and in a bottle of wine is a ton of sugar. So you got to be mindful of this stuff and recognize that your body has to get rid of this stuff before it can heal, right? So if you're having chronic pain and you're taking alcohol,
it's a problem. If there's anything going on in your body, the first things that need to be removed is refined sugars, dairy, and alcohol, because your body can't regenerate and restore when it has to work on breaking those things down. So it's not about cutting out everything that you enjoy in your life, but it's recognizing if you don't feel good, if you don't feel, or you're having medical conditions or you're having imbalances or whatever, if you don't make your body a priority and get it back to a state of where it's functioning in a healthy way, then you're getting in your own way of its ability to then be able to cleanse and restore itself, because you have to understand that it's not just sleeping and it's not just resting, it's relaxing. And he says it perfectly that, when you put your car in park, it's resting, but it's not relaxing. The engine doesn't relax until you turn the car off. So if your body, from inflammation and really sugary foods, alcohol, if your inflammation goes up, one, that in itself can cause fibromyalgia, just inflammation. Also, carpal tunnel type symptoms can also come from inflammation. So it's understanding that if your inflammations are really high, your body as an organism goes into a fight or flight mode, and it stays there. It's on alert. It's stressed, right? Which is why it doesn't need the sex organs and some of these other things in your body, because it's not a priority. So what it's going to do in that high stress state is your body's not going to be able to relax at night. So maybe you've experienced at some time, you're trying to go to sleep and you feel anxiety, but you can't in your mind figure out what's going on. Have you considered that your body is anxious and stressed? Because inflammation puts it in a heightened state that it doesn't know how to process. So if you're trying to lay down to go to sleep and it's not working, it could solely be the food that you're consuming, but you're going to therapy for your mind when it's not your mind. It's your body as an animal organism.
Right. So there are lots of things with food, and I'm gonna do a video on this, and I'm gonna do this again later. But since you guys are here, and this is 5 days of self-care, I want you to really listen to something. I'm gonna talk to you about cigarette smoke, okay? And I know the doctor tells you that cigarette smoke is bad, and all the studies show you that cigarette smoke is bad. But I'm gonna explain to you in a very detailed way what cigarettes do to you, do to your body, okay, when you're smoking an actual cigarette. So, like I said a few minutes ago, within 6 to 7 minutes of no oxygen in your body, your brain dies. Okay, your brain cannot survive after that. You have serious brain damage. So your number one thing is to get oxygen into your body. So more important than your brain, more important than your heart, more important than your kidneys is your lungs. Okay, your lungs are the most important organ in your body when it comes to staying alive. When you disrupt your lungs, your body goes onto high alert. So when you pull in a cigarette, okay, and I'm going to explain something to you, really, really important. It's important that you digest this. The human body is about 98.6 degrees, okay? The internal temperature of your body, 98.6 degrees at any given moment. That's what your normal temperature is. When you are holding a cigarette that's illuminated, right? The cigarette itself, the tip of the cigarette is about 400 degrees, 400. Now your body is close to 100, a little less than 100. 400 degrees when you're holding it. When you pull on that cigarette, the tip of that cigarette goes up between 700 and 900 degrees. 700 and 900. So you're pulling smoke that's 700 to 900 degrees into your lungs, right? It cools a little by the time it gets past your trachea into your lungs. But let's say it's 500 degrees by the time it gets down into your lungs. It singes the entire surface of the inside of your lungs. Burns, singes. So your body goes onto full alert. We've got to repair this right now. We've got to repair this right now. So your body goes into full alert. So all of your body's resources are going to repairing your lungs every time you pull on that cigarette. That's why you feel so alive when you smoke. It's not just the nicotine that you're addicted to. You're addicted to the feeling of feeling alive. You are burning the inside of your lungs, okay? So you're burning the inside of your lungs. Your body's like, holy shit. If we don't repair this, we're going to die in 6 minutes. So all of your resources go. This is why a lot of people who smoke don't put on a lot of weight, because all of their body's protein and resources are going to rebuilding the lung tissue. Your phone is going to repairing your lung tissue. So this happens over and over again. So you're smoking a cigarette, right? How many cigarettes are in a box? 20 cigarettes. You're smoking a pack a day. You're killing yourself all day long, and your body's utilizing all of its resources. If you're not eating the proper amount of protein and carbohydrates to put yourself through the cycle, the energy cycles and all of this stuff, you are destroying yourself. So all of the other things in your body, and that's why when you see those videos of the lady with her fingers falling off, because her fingers are not important. Her toes are not important. They're not important. Your lungs are important. Your earlobes, they're not important. All of these things, your eyesight is not important. That's why people who smoke cigarettes the way they do, their eyesight goes right out the window. They can't hear. Most of the time, these people come in with this poor hearing situation. Ask them if they've been smoking. Probably yes. All of these things are low priority when it comes to your lungs. Your lungs are super important. So remember, you are 98.6 degrees. Tip of the cigarette's 400. When you pull on it, it's 700 to 900 degrees. You're pulling that into your lungs. By the time it gets down there, it's maybe 500 to 700 degrees. You're singeing the entire surface of your lungs. I just want you to see the reality of what's going on. And when you get that heightened alive feeling, it's because your body's alive. It's like, holy shit, I'm dying. What do we do? So just something to consider. Serious self-care is cutting out that smoking, cutting it out completely. And I just want you to know, I mean, you can do whatever you want. It's your body, and if you're going to smoke, make sure you're feeding yourself appropriately so you have those protein stores, right? Make sure you're doing that cardio exercise so that your heart can pump that stuff around your bloodstream so that it can repair stuff. And I guarantee that if you go and you do exercise and you move around, you're not going to want to smoke as much anyway. Anyway, so I know that's very dramatic. It may have sounded dramatic, but it is dramatic. And this is something that I work with all of my clients and all the people that I talk to about cigarette smoking, and they want to get away from cigarette smoking. It is serious, serious business what you're doing to your lungs.
Over here on the Facebook Live, we have Shar who's asking about e-cigs because there's such a problem with kids. The thing that's really hard about e-cigarettes is that there's not enough research on them yet, so everyone is calling them safe. First of all, there's not any chance that it's safe when you're inhaling chemicals into your body, because you are, the flavors that how they flavor them And, you know, ultimately with e-cigarettes, that's a really hard thing to even argue, because kids always have something. Every generation has something. You know, it's just the more that we can teach them resources of how to access information and how their body functions, and for them to start paying attention to the nuances in their body. Because on one hand, we're telling kids don't smoke e-cigarettes, but then we're throwing Adderall down their throat, and the Adderall could be worse for them than the e-cigarette, but we don't know because we're not teaching them how to understand their own body. And that's really the key point, is what's lacking in community right now is us teaching children how to understand the unique language their body is speaking to them. That if they're 6, 7 years old and they're reporting a stomach ache after they eat, something they're eating is a problem. But we just say, no, you have to eat it. This is what we're making. Now more than ever, children are far more sensitive to the chemicals and refined sugars in food because of their parents' eating habits when they were pregnant and as they were growing up, plus trauma, plus some of these epigenetics coming down through the pipeline. And if you look at the percentage of children that are now on the autism spectrum, most of that is treatable by diet changes and by gluten intolerances. And what's actually causing a lot of children to be disruptive and be louder is their body's inflammatory response to some of the foods and some of the sensorium around them. It could be electronics, it could be from food, it could be from their environment, but we're not teaching kids, or even adults for that matter, how to listen to their body's language. Because if we did, then kids would be more self-aware that if they did try an e-cigarette and it didn't feel good to them, they've actually been taught how to feel better, how to feel good.
And there's something that to e-cigs, okay? Oh, it's safe, it's safe. Listen, one of the main ingredients in most e-cigs is formaldehyde. And formaldehyde is something that they use to embalm people with. You know, this is not cool stuff. There's also ingredients that they use for smoke machines in clubs and stuff like that. That's all that stuff is going in there. When you think about what I was telling you before, your lungs are where the carbon dioxide, your blood goes through the capillaries, right? And your carbon dioxide and your oxygen is exchanged. So the vasculature, which is the capillaries inside your lungs, is very permeable to things. So these chemicals pass right over that barrier and right into your bloodstream. So no matter what you're inhaling, you know, if it's environmental toxins, dust, all of this stuff passes through your lungs into your bloodstream. And when you're inhaling this stuff in great amounts, and I don't know anybody who vapes or e-cigs a little bit. They do it a lot. They do it a lot more than they smoke cigarettes because they can do it indoors. It's not causing anybody else.
No one will know.
Drama, nobody will know.
They won't smell like
stuff.
it.
And it's normal. Look, empower people with education and say, hey, listen, you know, I know the e-cigs are, you know, it said that they're safe and that type of stuff, but this is what I found out, you know, and this is what, you know, I'm learning about the human body and the toxins that are going into your body, and this is what I see. And ultimately, I mean, kids are going to make their own decisions anyway. So what you can do is you can be supportive and not stuff down your throat, because when you stuff things down kids' throats,
they just rebel more. And look, they're looking at us. So if you want to know the truth, if you're telling a kid on one hand not to smoke an e-cigarette, and then you're eating fast food, which is known to cause heart disease and known to cause some of these other physical ailments, they're not going to take any weight in what you say if you aren't already living a life they see as something they may want to emanate. So, you know, we look at that with anything. I don't give anyone my opinion that doesn't ask or that doesn't express the desire to know. Because if someone doesn't ask for feedback, I don't waste my time, because most people will, or I won't even say most people, but in my experience of dealing with people that didn't ask, they rebel against it or just become argumentative. When really, if we first become, right, like that example for people, not out of obligation or responsibility, but out of desire to invoke change. If that is what you're looking to do, do it with yourself first. Do it in the people around you first. And if there are youth and kids and friends that you want to inspire, do it by becoming a better version of you, because they can't ignore that.
Right.
And then they'll start coming to ask you how you did it. How did you make it happen? How did you facilitate the shifts and changes? How did you reverse, you know, I don't have endometriosis or hypothyroidism anymore. I don't have fibromyalgia. I haven't had shots in my knees for my osteoarthritis since 2008.
You ain't got osteoarthritis.
Huh?
You don't have that anymore.
No, I know. But I mean, I'm just saying that's, people don't even know that that's possible until they see someone else reverse it, or they see someone else like our friend Kevin, who wasn't even supposed to survive. And had it not been for his mother changing some of the ingredients going into his feeding tubes after his injury, which we did this live video on Tuesday.
Yeah, awesome.
If you haven't heard Kevin's story, it's Kevin Ballister,
Pretty impressive.
feedabrain.com. If his mother hadn't have started to change some of the food going into his feeding tubes when he was in the hospital, he never would have made it out of a vegetative state.
Yeah.
Because the food that we are feeding our sick people in the hospital is it's the most worst, like the worst corn syrup, soybean oil, low quality ingredients to people that are barely alive as it is. And this is proven to be bad for people. And we're pumping it through people that need high nutrients the most.
Nutrient-dense stuff.
So you can't, when you truly start to reach out for these kinds of stories and people who have transformed their life because of nutrition and because of their choices, you start to believe that it's possible. Before someone like Kevin came along, no one would really understand or believe a scientist around neuroplasticity. So become the example, become the miracle, become the person that people will look to, not just for yourself, but for that, for everyone around you will have more hope and more drive because they'll see that you transformed. It is hard to make these changes. I know it. And it is kind of rough sometimes. But the thing is you benefit no matter what.
Yeah.
You really do. And so taking that time for you, committing for 6 weeks. And if anyone isn't sure how to do like an elimination diet to figure out what's not working for your health, hit me up. I can give you resources all day long. This is a one-time commitment to yourself, to really exploring your own body and what helps it to heal and what gets in the way of it healing. And thank you so much, everyone that's been like watching and commenting. I'm trying to watch while we're talking at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important. The things that Cole is saying are so important. These aspects of really digging into yourself and getting your self-care. Your own self-care together is really important. You are the captain of the ship. And I can't stress this enough. I've been in healthcare for 26 years. You are the captain of the ship. When you put the steering wheel, the whatever that wheel is that they steer the ship with, or the handlebars, whatever it is.
Handlebars.
When you put somebody else in charge of your ship, right, and you don't have a say anymore, that ship can sink real fast. Okay, so you got to empower yourself with education. You got to empower yourself with perspective, and you've got to try stuff on, man. You don't go in the department store to buy some clothes and be like, I'm gonna just take these things off the rack and buy them. You go in the dressing room and put it on. Go put it on. See what it feels like, and if it doesn't look right, it doesn't feel right, take it off and throw it back on the rack.
And it's the same with any doctor's opinion. They call it a doctor's opinion for a reason. When you go into the doctor, you must become your health advocate. You've got to go in with questions. You need to go in with a notebook if it's going to be very complicated things, and write down what they tell you, because a lot of times people come back to us while we help them to integrate what health problems they have going on, and they can't remember what the doctor said. And we're like, well, if you can't remember what they've said, how are you supposed to understand what's coming with your surgery, what they're suggesting or advising for you to get a second opinion? There's a reason why when people go to the doctor and they say, yeah, but it didn't feel right, you're still the one in your body. And if something doesn't feel right, when you hear the information, it's time for another opinion. That's that gut instinct. You have to trust it, which means being your advocate. And as hard as the truth might be, you need to ask questions, because especially if they're going to be hacking into you or removing anything, what's it going to do?
Or putting chemicals in you.
Yeah. What are the ramifications of this medication, of this surgery? What kind of post-surgery things do I need to do? How do I handle the scar tissue, the adhesions, should I get active release techniques? Like, there is a lot we aren't being taught.
Yeah.
So, going back with the idea of e-cigs and all that stuff, like, that is such a small fraction of our concerns right now for the human organism, actually, because what's going on in the environment and the food that's being consumed more than the e-cigarette is kind of our base level that we need to transform first.
Well,
Not first,
yeah,
but and.
Yeah, and to harp on the e-cig thing, it's still new.
Yeah, it's still new.
Relatively new. It hasn't been studied. It hasn't been researched. So I can't sit here and tell you that it's bad for you per se. I can tell you that putting chemicals into your lungs is not a,
is going to have an adverse effect long term.
It's not a cool thing. I've seen really, ARDS, adult respiratory distress syndrome, is something that's very real, and it happens from environmental stuff. It happens from toxins. If you mix bleach and ammonia together, you can burn your lungs out. All of these, your lungs can get destroyed really, really quickly.
Well, and it was the same with the breast implants. They didn't say, they still say breast implants are not dangerous, and that's not true. Now there's starting to be more and more lawsuits, and also women filing for these illnesses and thyroid issues and heightened inflammation. Like for me, every doctor told me it can't be your breast implants. It's impossible. And all of my last final symptoms went away with my breast implants. Yep. And I had to research deep, and now it's like you can go to healingbreastimplantillness.com and read about it. And e-cigs are going to have something to
I can probably guarantee it. In
just watching patterns of stuff.
And the most important thing right now that I think that people can grab onto is your nutrition, how you feed yourself. Nutrition doesn't work the same way for everybody. You've got to find your formula. And the number one thing with serious self-care is you have got to value yourself. If you do not value yourself, you are not caring for yourself. If you put your kids over your health, if you put your spouse over your health, if you put your job over your health, if you put your car or your dog over your health, you are not valuing yourself. Yeah. And you've got to show, and if you have kids and you're saying, oh, my kids are more important to me than everything else, if you show your kids that you don't value yourself, what are your kids going to do? They're not going to value themselves, and they're going to find a partner that doesn't value them, and it's going to be a landslide of,
So look, it's if you want to inspire somebody else, you need to be it, not just say the words. Even if they can't put their finger on it, they may feel that you're genuine in your desire to help and inspire, but you are inauthentic in your ability to inspire and help people make those steps for themselves. So that's probably enough for today. We just ranted for like 40 minutes straight.
If y'all have any questions on self-care
and
serious self-care,
integrating with your body,
pop them into the comment box, and we'll talk about it for a few more minutes. It's really important for me. It's important for me to get up and move. Movement is so important in my life. When you see me doing these exercises and stuff that I post up on Facebook, I'm not showing off. I'm actually celebrating that I can move. A few years back, I broke my spine and I herniated a disc so bad that I could not walk at all. I was immobilized for 3 months. So I am celebrating my life. I'm celebrating that I can jump, that I can lift heavy objects, and that I can move. I'm celebrating that. And I'm celebrating it with you. And the people that jump in with me and celebrate it with me, thank you. And if it inspires you, then get up and move. You don't have to do the stuff that I'm doing. If you're doing one jumping jack a day, do it.
Yeah.
If that's your movement. If you dance is your thing, do it. Get up and do it. We had a woman on here yesterday who she was awesome, talking about dance movement, and just go back and view yesterday's video. I mean, these are things that you can do for yourself. Show yourself that love, show yourself that value. You've got to give yourself that consideration. And when you give yourself that consideration, your world will open up. There is no reason why anybody doesn't have access to a wealth of information. I mean, there's a lot of garbage out there, but there's a lot of really awesome information on the internet. You can use your Google fingers and go Google. You can use Yahoo.
Would they be your gingers?
Is Ask Jeeves still around?
Oh, I forgot about Ask Jeeves.
Right? Bing is still around. All of these search engines, go search. Do some research. Pick up a book and read. Get off Facebook for 5 minutes and read.
Podcasts. There's so many good podcasts.
There's awesome podcasts on body stuff. Learn about how your body works. Open up an anatomy book and see what your muscles look like and see what pulls where and what nerve connects to what, so you can start to figure out, no, the doctor told me doesn't make much sense. So you can go in there on the questions.
Or these diets. If you're going to go on a keto diet, you know how many keto people are going on a keto diet and they have no idea what it actually is, so they're getting seriously malnourished because they don't know what they should be eating. They just think that by cutting out grains and breads and a few things, that's keto. Nah, son, that's not it. That's just going to get you into an Atkins diet, which is not, you can still go severely under calorie and undernourished.
Yeah.
If you're going to buy into anything, need to know what is the purpose of what you're doing, what is the intention, and put intention behind it. Because if you're not getting enough fats, enough nutrients, enough full macros with whatever you choose, you're going to make yourself sicker.
Yep.
So just buying into something because it's cool, it's just like the same old too cool for school, same bowl.
And like Lena says, Google eyes. I like
Google eyes.
I'm going to Google eyes now. So, and there's another thing that I wanted to say before we move off of the screen. Fats, right? Fats have been the taboo of the nutrition industry because they wanted to put sugar in your mouth, and sugar has caused a grand amount of disruption. Fats are not bad. Fats are fats. There are fats that flow for you. There are fats that don't flow for you. Fats should be consumed in a healthy amount. If you eat a ridiculous amount of fats, just like anything else, it can be detrimental to your health. So be mindful of the type of fat that you take in. Be mindful of the amount of fat that you take in. Be mindful about diversifying your fats, medium chain triglycerides and all of this stuff, coconut oil, olive oil is awesome.
And keep track when you try something for a whole week and write how you feel. So I've been eating plant-based and vegan for quite a while, or at least mostly vegetarian, like mostly plant-based, but breaking rules. So the vegan police would totally take me away. However, what I realized was I wasn't getting enough of a different types of fats. So I started exploring other people's opinions. And I said, let me try that on. Let me see how that works for me for the week. Do I feel better or do I feel worse? Is there a noticeable difference? But if you don't change some of the other stuff in your diet, you're not gonna be able to tell if you're still consuming a lot of refined sugars. So Esther just asked, which podcast do you recommend? Well, I have a podcast called Warrior Women with a Purpose. It's women-based, obviously. I also love Dave Asprey. Even if you're not paleo, it doesn't make a difference. You can learn stuff from other people. Get another perspective than what you're being fed from your direct circle of friends.
Tim Ferriss.
Tim Ferriss's
podcast is awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
JJ Virgin does a great podcast. Abel James, Fat Burning Man, is one of the top podcasts. His is great. Mm-hmm. He's super deep in how he researches things. I was just going to say, Kevin Ballister, How to Feed a Brain, is a great one about neuroplasticity and understanding. If you have brain fog, it could just be from your diet. So the majority of people walking around have at least a minor case of leaky gut. And if you have a leaky gut, and it's like 70% of the population in the United States, your brain gets a leaky gut as well, where the walls in your brain get thinner. So the food and crap that you're eating is going into your freaking brain, like straight into your brain.
Thanks,
so brain fog could directly be from what you're eating. Understanding neuroplasticity is very important, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you use your brain a lot.
And understanding how your body repairs itself. Your body needs raw materials to repair itself. You're not going to go use the same old bricks that were falling out of a building to rebuild the building.
We're in our closet.
To rebuild a building. So when you think about the quality of the proteins, the quality of the fats, the quality of the carbohydrates that you eat, it has a bearing on how your body rebuilds itself and how your body fuels itself. And it's so important for you to diversify. Remember, we weren't always in cities. We were in tribes in the forest and whatever, and we would eat food seasonally. So the different colors and the different foods would rotate in and out. It's the same thing with the fats that we eat. It's the same thing with the carbohydrates and the fruits we eat. We have to really diversify the things that we eat to find out what works for us. Your food can be your medicine. Thanks, Natalie. I appreciate you, girl.
Where did I put Genius Foods? So here's a couple books. One, it's called How to Feed a Brain. I know it's backwards on Facebook. This is by Kevin Ballister. Cool? I think it's in the other room. Super important. I'll put all these in the link. Women, Period Repair Manual. I'm going to be having Dr. Laura on my podcast soon, next month. So we're going to do a webinar together. Your period repair manual, so important. This is about naturally balancing out your hormones, even if you're not still having a period. So that for sure. The big buzzword, adrenal fatigue, okay? Adrenal fatigue for everyone on all of the pages. Adrenal fatigue is a really fancy way of saying you're freaking tired and you've overdone it and you've blown out your adrenal glands because you've been in fight or flight mode and releasing stress hormones for so long that your body can't function. So that's basically what adrenal fatigue is, right? So if you, sorry, I'm plugging in my phone because I'm going to lose power. Maybe I'm going to plug in my phone. Maybe I'm not. Oh, okay. Yeah, I have Cavin's. I just didn't have Genius Foods. I think it's on the bed maybe, or by the bed. Sorry guys, gotta plug in. I lose ya. Henry. Usually Henry chimes in sooner. We'll see how this is gonna situate. I don't know if this is really gonna work. Stay! Okay. Well, okay, apparently I'm just gonna have to hold it. So the other book is called Genius Foods. It's by Max Lugavere. It's a new book, came out maybe a month and a half ago. It's already a bestseller as well. That's another really good one for neuroplasticity. Who else? What is there? There was another doctor. If you just search anything online for neuroplasticity, understanding what happens when your body is under a lot of inflammation, it's a big deal. 5 weeks no refined sugar, that's awesome. Yeah, the thing that's interesting is a lot of times we think that we feel, what about under my nightstand? Huh? Yeah, forget it, just come back. We should wrap up anyway. The thing to understand too is a lot of times we think that we are hungry and we're actually just thirsty.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, is most people are not having enough to eat or to drink, and they think that it's hunger. So
did you show all the books?
I didn't show the ones you just brought. My phone's gonna die and it won't stay up.
So Full Body Presence is a book that's absolutely awesome. It's called Full Body Presence. This is by Suzanne Sherlock-Durana. Mind Over Medicine by Lisa Rankin. Awesome book. This is one of my favorites. It's called What Is Your Body Telling You? Okay? What is your body telling you? And it's by Steve Sisgold. And there are exercises in it that tell you, that help you to figure out what your body is actually telling you. It's pretty awesome. And it works off of something called a BQ. It's a body quotient. It's like the IQ, but it's the BQ instead of IQ. Anyway, these are things.
That's a good starting point.
That's a great starting point. Listen, we've got resources. We want you to develop your own system of getting yourself together.
Top shelf, white book. Last book.
How did it get in here?
I think we just missed it.
All right.
So this is called Genius Food. It's by Max Lugavere. Okay, such a good book.
Awesome book.
Also on Audible. So if you're more of a listening person, then you can get Genius Food. Also talks about neuroplasticity and how you can actually prevent dementia, even if it runs in your lineage, in your DNA, how to keep it basically from getting activated, because that's really what happens with something like Alzheimer's.
A lot of people say they don't read. I don't read.
It's time to start reading.
You got to start reading. And this is how you get yourself in a place where you are empowered. Learn about your body, learn about the things, the technologies that are coming up, so that you're not relying on people whose education is being governed by books that were created 10, 15, 20 years ago. Okay, so be mindful of that, and go into the doctor's office, go into your practitioner's office armed with some information about yourself, and just walk through the grocery store armed with some information about yourself and the foods that you're eating. Stay away from stuff that's GMO and stuff that's not organic, because there are pesticides and stuff running through this stuff. And like we said earlier today, toxins running through your body cause your body to have.
There's a collaborative effort of stuff going on.
So that's basically it. Serious self-care. We are
long version.
We are very serious about self-care. We love you and we want you to be empowered. So we will do our best to keep bringing you as much valuable information as we can. We're not here looking to sell you all kinds of crap and make millions of dollars off of you. The things that we put up, the programs that we put up are because we need to pay rent and have.
These are just the books we've read in the last month, by the way.
So,
well, that's not true. Some of these are oldie but goodie.
Yeah. So, I mean, we are here because we want to help empower people, because we have had the opportunity to be empowered. But the road we took of empowerment, you don't have to take that.
And this is what we do with anyone that's ever worked with us, right? And this isn't from the standpoint, we don't work people on a coach basis. You have to talk to us. We have to see if you're 100% in, because when it comes to body, there's no halfsies. There's not, I'm doing the best that I can. The best that you can do is not enough. Yep. That doesn't mean you are not enough. But if you're having serious health crisis, so I'm not talking about just you don't feel good. Like if you're having health crisis, doing the best you can is not going to cut it. We have to come up with this strategic and tactical approach of how it's going to be 100% at least for a month, so that we can see what's really going on. Because if we can't first understand the issue, it's going to take us forever. So if you want to join our email list, we do free challenges all the time. All the time. We just finished a 5 days of self-care that we share different people's stories. We don't pretend to know everything, but we'll bring you the people that do. So tahcole.com if you want to sign up for the email list. Again, you're just going to get anytime we do free challenges or anything. If we read an awesome new book, we're going to tell you about it. And then we're going to say, you need to read this freaking book. Like, this book's epic. And it's based off of the work we've done with people. And when it gets put into a book format, we don't even have to write it. We go, read this. That's what you what you need to do.
And it's based off of the work that we've done with ourselves as well. And that's the key element, is that we are the guinea pigs, so you don't have to be a guinea pig. Okay?
We can save you years. What took me 7 years with my health, I can help you do in 2, as long as you're real and as long as you're authentic and as long as you genuinely show up. We won't let you hide from us.
Show up for yourself.
Love you.
Love you. Be easy. Be free.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
Take care of yourselves. Peace. Ciao.